Tomorrow Island. Alara lived in a beautiful house built of almosts and soons. Her desk was a graveyard of half-started journals, and her phone was a glowing tether to a world where everyone else seemed to be finishing what she hadn't even begun. Every time a spark of ambition hit her, she would whisper the lullaby of the stuck. "I'll do it tomorrow." She didn't realize that tomorrow was a debt she was accruing with interest, until the night the clocks in her room began to beat like frantic hearts. When Alara opened her eyes, the ceiling was gone. Instead, a violet sky stretched overhead, filled with floating objects, a half-painted canvas, a gym bag, and thousands of hovering envelopes. She was lying on a beach where the sand wasn't quartz, but millions of tiny, ground-up clock gears. Nearby, a grandfather clock stood waist-deep in the tide, its wooden body melting into the ocean like warm wax. "Welcome," a voice rasped, "to the place where time goes to die." A low growl made Alara spin around. Emerging from the tall grass was a creature made entirely of tangled black ink and jagged paper scraps. It hissed with the sound of 1,000 notifications. "That," said a small figure perched on a nearby rock, "is your application for graduate school. You didn't finish it, so it grew teeth." Alara stepped back, realizing the creature's body was covered in the very words she had struggled to write months ago. The small figure hopped down. He was a man named Kale, wearing robes made of velvet calendars and carrying a lantern that pulsed with a steady golden light. His eyes were kind but tired. "I am the keeper of the overdue," he explained. Suddenly, thick, translucent vines sprouted from the sand, wrapping around Alara's ankles. They were heavy and felt like lead. "Those are your excuses," Kale said calmly. "The more you use them, the tighter they pull." Alara struggled against the vines. "I just wanted things to be perfect," she cried. Kale raised an eyebrow, his lantern glowing brighter. "Perfectionism is just fear in a fancy suit, Alara," he said. "It tells you that if you can't do it flawlessly, you shouldn't do it at all. So you do nothing, and the nothing becomes a monster that eats your days. You aren't waiting for the right time. You're waiting for a version of yourself that doesn't exist yet." They walked toward a shimmering blue pool that hummed with a hypnotic frequency. Alara felt an intense urge to stare into it. In the water, she saw endless loops of videos, dances, recipes she'd never cook, and arguments between strangers. "The well of distraction," Kale warned. "It feels like rest, but it's a desert. It drinks your focus and leaves you thirsty. Many come to Tomorrow Island and drown right here, scrolling through the lives of others, while their own turns to dust." To leave the island, Kale led her to the base of a jagged glass mountain. "You must face the source," he said. At the summit, Alara didn't find a dragon, but a small, shimmering version of herself, a child holding a box of bright crayons. The child looked terrified. "She's the one you're protecting," Kale whispered. "You don't procrastinate because you're lazy. You do it because you're afraid to find out that your best might not be enough for the world." Alara hugged her younger self, and the glass mountain began to tremble. Kale handed Alara a small, ordinary hammer. "The mountain is too big to move," he said. "Don't look at the peak. Just look at the inch in front of you." Discipline isn't a lightning bolt of motivation. It's the choice to swing the hammer once, then once more. Alara took a breath and struck the glass. It didn't shatter, but a tiny chip fell away. With every small strike, the monsters of unfinished tasks began to shrink. The heavy vines of excuses withered into dry leaves. The melting clocks slowed, their hands finding a steady rhythm again. "The secret of this island," Kale said as the horizon began to glow with a new kind of light, "is that tomorrow is a ghost. It is a horizon you can never reach. The only place you can ever truly live is in the messy, imperfect, beautiful now." Alara woke up in her room. The sun was peeking through the blinds, hitting her cluttered desk. The almosts were still there, and the monsters of her tasks were still waiting in her inbox. But the heavy leaden feeling in her chest was gone. She didn't reach for her phone. She didn't say, later. She simply picked up a pen, opened a blank page, and wrote the first word. The island was gone, because she had finally decided to come home to today.